Nice, already.
Yes, we're
Let's
done.
go.
This is the first episode, so please introduce yourself.
All right, first episode, guys. How you doing? Okay. My name is Emmanuel Kakpo. I am a personal trainer in Nottingham in the gym group Bradford, and I've been PTing for about 7 years, 8 years, and that's a little bit about me, right there. Okay.
Yeah, 100%, guys. And it's Tiro here. We're just starting out this podcast. This is the first of many, hopefully. We've had some great ideas, and so we're just going to kick it off very natural, very organic, and see where this goes. Okay.
100%. I'm ready to go. Ready
All
to
right.
go. Right. Well, I guess we had discussions about several subjects, haven't we? In the past six
Mm-hmm.
months, we've been discussing about
Right.
lots of things, and I think a couple of them are laid down here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, First one being how people behave around their health, and how they go about approaching support. And
Right.
and my opinion, again, I kind of thought about this loosely,
Right.
was that people are quicker to seeing a doctor or GP
Right.
as opposed to seeking health support in the gym space or gym membership. So
Right.
I guess people's kind of reflex or kind of automated reaction will just be like, oh, I've had a bit sick, right? Let's find a GP, let's find a doctor, as opposed to how can I prevent this from happening in
Mm-hmm.
the future? It's like it's simple, isn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think it is simple from our perspective
Of
because
course,
we've incorporated physical fitness into our lives. Maybe we played sport when we were growing up and we
of
found
course.
like a real safe space there. So we always thought that this is something that we can do even when we grow up to find like a nice, safe place to be, a place to feel better, a place
Mm.
to work on our bodies.
Yeah, yeah,
But the thing is, not everyone has that positive experience with
100%,
sport when they're growing up. And when you're younger, you're a bit more resilient. You,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can fight off illnesses like nothing. You break a bone, it's right back to normal in about
yeah,
six
yeah, yeah. Of
weeks.
course, 6 weeks.
The
Yeah,
older you get, of course, that elasticity, it decreases.
over time. Yeah, yeah.
And so, if you aren't one of those people that have dedicated your life or found enjoyment in practicing sport, working on your body, then it's going to be even harder to get over that initial slump, which is to go to the
Mm-hmm.
gym, to try pick up a sport, to try do something that's physically demanding,
hundred
to try
percent. Yeah.
work on your body. So I think it all comes down to how us as humans experience the physical side of our lives growing up. Do we enjoy sport? Do we enjoy running around? Are we naturally good with our genetics? And then how do we go from that into adulthood? Okay.
100%. Yeah. I like that stance. I like that stance. It's almost like when you put it that way, it's almost like there is a responsibility for people like you and I to maybe kind of share awareness about how it's important to also undertake sports or maybe fitness later on in life if they've not had the opportunity to kind of you know obviously be brought up around sports and have a positive outlook with fitness and health. Obviously, if this country, for instance, maybe sports or kind of
Mm-hmm.
looking after yourself,
Mm-hmm.
having that mind to look after yourself isn't popular. Maybe we need to find popular ways to make maybe find ways to make gym, fitness, self-care accessible to as many people as possible. And it starts with conversations like this.
It does.
Otherwise, you'll just have a society that just depends on a crippling NHS, right? And the waiting list continues to grow
Mm-hmm.
for of course, minor issues as well as life-changing issues.
Of
But,
course.
but I think my pressing issue here is that feeling that majority of people seem to just, again, like you say, it's down to their upbringing, it's down to how they've been socialized around fitness and health. I do get that,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
I think my concern is how can we support the NHS indirectly
Right.
by making health and fitness, maybe a better mindset around nutrition, more
Mm-hmm.
accessible to the wider audience. I
Okay.
just feel like it's people's knee jerk reaction to just go, oh, I'm ill, or I don't feel so good. I'm just going to go to the NHS for something so
Mm-hmm.
petty. But outside of the NHS, there's still resources. There's there's gyms.
Mm-hmm.
There's health and well-being outlets.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I guess, books. There's resources around nutrition, maybe herbs, medicine to support your health without needing to
Right.
see a specialist.
So I think you brought up two really important points. Okay. And the first one is I think that every government, okay, not just the UK, should invest more into physical activities when a child is in school. You know how it's kind
100%.
of like a
Yeah.
wayside thing right now. It's like we'll
100%.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
PE, we'll do sport. If
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
really gifted, then we'll funnel more attention into that child, or we'll give them more opportunity.
Yeah.
But I think there should be maybe two PE classes instead of one, essentially. To
Mm.
teach about health and fitness and
Yeah.
nutrition.
And it shouldn't stop when you go to
Yeah,
high school, right? Yeah.
yeah. It should be like mandatory,
Mandatory.
right? Like all kids should learn about these important, essential facts to prevent the health crisis, right? And secondly, I think this is something you touched on. How do we get people aware about it? How do we make it cool? Is I think right now when I go online and I see fitness influencers, right? It's kind of like the 1% of people, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's like all these really super fit, uber chiseled guys, or these really attractive girls. They're telling me how to make a banana smoothie, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, life is pretty easy for you because
Yeah.
you've got good genetics,
Good
right?
genetics,
Yeah,
and they live that lifestyle every day,
they
and they've
live
not
that
got a full
lifestyle.
time job. And
No, 100%. No, they've dedicated their life to this. So I mean, there's no shots at them. I just think that for the 90% of people, we maybe need more less traditional fitness influencers, if you know what I mean. So
mm,
people that are like, hey, maybe I don't look amazing, but I've made a conscious decision to try and improve my life. And I do that by conversing with that 1%, with people like you that are like dedicated to this life, determined, disciplined,
yeah, I like that.
so we should make it cool. We should make it accessible
Yeah,
for people.
I like that.
Hmm.
It's almost in my head. I'm picturing this kind of trickle effect,
Yes.
right? Trickle effect in the sense of you've got maybe the 1 10% at the top,
Right.
and they're influencing those at the bottom until it reaches right those at the bottom, right? So you've got
Right.
fitness
Hmm.
influencers, athletes,
Exactly.
well minded health individuals,
Hmm.
yeah, that will obviously share the knowledge with those that are below them, and it just becomes this kind of domino effect that affects
Exactly.
people positively. Positively,
Yes.
do you know what I mean? So I think you've touched up on something quite essential there.
Hmm.
But I think in my head, this obviously requires a lot of resources, um,
Right.
like you say, a lot of money, and maybe this is something that money doesn't really. I guess if you're talking about governments, you spoke about governments,
Right.
they they might not, like you say, so they may not regard health and fitness as a priority for them at that
Hmm.
time. So of course that's it. Then brings the question: how do we raise funds to open up
Okay.
um, organizations that might speak to people that may not want to come to a gym like this one, right? Where
Hmm.
it's
I think it starts with passionate individuals.
got you.
So it's got to be those people that are passionate about this, that want to spread awareness. They've got to take the initiative, and it's something like you do, right? You have a WhatsApp group, which is very personal. It's not just an Instagram group. It's not just a Facebook group. It's not just a channel on
Mm,
YouTube. You literally talk to the people on your phone. You message them every day. You have a group. It's very personalized, and it takes people like you to do that. So you basically build a community. You say, hey, listen, I see that you want to do this with your life.
mm,
I'm here to help. I will help when I can, within my capacity. And I want to have a personal touch to it.
nice,
And I think
nice.
this is about making it cool, is where you see someone that's like got it down, they've got it figured out, but they're willing to share that knowledge and they're
Mm,
willing to help you quite
yeah,
easily, with no strings attached.
no strings attached. A bit like I like that you brought up my WhatsApp group actually because I'm doing it for free. It's not something I get paid
Exactly.
for doing, right?
Exactly.
And what
Exactly.
I'm doing is essentially looking for facts, information that I think will help people in that group, and
Hmm.
to what extent they use that information, that's up to them.
Exactly.
But really, what I'm saying is this is the information. It will affect it positively most of the time because a lot of it is
Hmm.
is research, right? Research is not always perfect. This
Right.
is these are the benefits. These are some side effects. Use it to your own. What am I
Your
trying to
best
say? Yeah,
ability,
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
to
yeah.
as much as it can take
Of
you.
course, yeah. And a lot of the members are in this gym right now, and that's how I picked up those members. And based on what I've seen, it seems that a lot of these members in the group chat, they seem to be pushing forward. At what speed, to what capacity, that's kind of their personal journey. But
Right.
there's always a positive end within all this. There's always a positive outcome. They're either stronger or they fall ill less, or
Yeah.
they make less mistakes in the gym, and that's kind of why I've got that group set up for.
Right.
But I guess on a wider basis,
Hmm.
if we look at some of the stats in
Yeah. I mean, let's go over these
that,
stats.
yeah,
Right. Right. So you've got down here the NHS waiting list is 7.7 million
Billy, of
people,
course, right now in the UK, yeah,
and then there's a gym membership of
10
10
million.
million people.
Okay, so obviously,
Yeah.
there's 10 million people that have gyms, right, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
of those 10 million,
Yeah.
how many of these are really using the gyms effectively?
Right.
We spoke about the 1 and 10%.
Right.
So we could argue that really,
Hmm.
within that 10 million, 1 to 10% of these people are using the gyms effectively. They're kind of looking after their nutrition, they're sleeping correctly, they're taking, their supplements, and they're
Right.
benefiting from the gym membership
Right.
to the point where they wouldn't need to be, generally speaking, they wouldn't need to be on a waiting list to see a GP or doctor, because
Right.
they've got it all figured out. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So essentially, we could argue that 90%, maybe 9 million people aren't really
Effectively using the resources.
resources available to them.
Hmm.
Okay, and they're having to use resources right here
Right.
with the NHS waiting list. Now, how true this is,
Hmm.
again, I don't know. I've not done the research extensively,
Hmm.
but I get a sense. That this kind of reflects on my earlier point, where I say people just knee jerk want to see a GP, knee jerk want to see a doctor, as opposed to learning the craft of gym space, learning how to use the gym space effectively, and tying that with
Hmm.
good habits and recovery and sleeping correctly. Right, that's kind of where I'm getting at,
Hmm.
and I'm doing my bit with the WhatsApp chat.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm doing my bit,
Hmm.
but how to make this a wider reaction. That's kind of, again, in lots of ways, it's kind of my goal. I think
Hmm.
reaching the wider audience with information that really supports them and gets them out of the waiting list into
Hmm.
gyms, and just feeling a better lifestyle. Just yeah,
100%. I mean, so there's an important point you touched on, which is people are reactive
yeah,
instead of proactive to their injuries and their illnesses. Okay. So how do you get them to start thinking in the future? Like, I'm doing this because I want to take care of myself in the future. I don't want to have any problems.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's about letting them know the dangers of not actually, taking care of your body now.
yeah.
And so a lot of people think I'll take care of that when it breaks. But we have to let them know the dangers of like not taking care of your health.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, because it's almost like, if you look at the, the effects of smoking,
Right.
of drinking, and the warning signs on a lot of those labels, right, on alcohol and cigarette packaging.
Yeah.
It speaks to dangers of smoking. It speaks to dangers of over drinking.
Right.
But
Overconsumption.
yeah,
Yeah.
overconsumption. Yeah, but it still seems that people aren't being reactive. They're not seeing the long-term consequences of
Mm-hmm.
smoking, of drinking, of doing drugs, whatever. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like people need something else. There needs to be a super layer of of,
Right.
of
Okay. So
influence.
what do you think that super layer is?
It's almost like we speak directly to government, we speak directly to
Mm.
authority, we speak directly to those in charge, and make them understand the consequences of drinking, smoking. But
Mm-hmm.
how does that benefit them, if if buying cigarettes
Right. Right. Right.
is
Right.
obviously benefiting the UK economy, or
Yeah.
the global economy, right? Buying
Right.
alcohol benefits the worldwide economy. So on our level,
Mm-hmm.
where we're kind of health experts, or kind of we are enthusiasts of health.
Exactly.
It doesn't bother them like it bothers us, and so how
Right.
to combat that power is
Right.
a whole different puzzle.
You're right. You're
You know,
right. I mean, I think it comes down to letting them know that if your workforce is healthy, happy,
okay,
they
there you go,
work more
different
efficiently, they
angle.
work longer. You know what I mean? So you will have less sick days. You will have less complaints about tiredness, of fatigue, of mental problems
Mental
because of
yeah, yeah.
these issues that arise that are all intermingled. So I
Mm,
think it's about letting them know the benefits, right? The overarching benefits. And to be honest with you, man, people don't listen unless you do studies.
100%, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is like having like
poll.
sample,
Yeah, sample. Yeah,
a
sample.
sample, and you're like, okay, you need people that are working that are aged 30 to 40. You're like, okay, this sample group, we're going to get them on a diet, we can get them in the gym 4 days a week, and we're going to record the results over 6 months, and then we're going to like find out how did they sleep, how did their productivity increase, how was their mood, how was their health. We do a complete, like, health check on them before,
Nice. We should
during,
go
and
into
then
it. We go
once you
into it.
have like the data, that's when you're like, this is the data, we've done the work. This of course needs funding, but this can be done. We can apply for
Absolutely.
grants, right? You can go to universities where they study sports science, and you can apply for a grant from the government to be like, we want to do the study. You want to get test subjects, let's say 20 adult UK people, from different backgrounds, so that the race and culture comes out of it. And then we want to put them through this regiment and see if there's any positive effects. And then once you have the data, that's when you can go to these authorities and be like, we've done the studies,
Mm.
and we can actually show that there's a positive increase in all these factors that you're looking for. Happy, healthy workforce. Not taking sick days, and it's all because of this simple factor.
Yeah.
Everything else stayed the same, but we controlled their exercise routines,
Yeah.
we controlled their sleeping, their consumption of harmful, harmful materials,
Substances. Yeah. Yeah. Of
substances.
course.
Yeah,
Of course. Of course. Yeah. It's almost like we become agents of accountability, right? So we're
exactly.
just using this, like you say, 20, 30 people
Mm-hmm.
within a specific age group to kind of look at what we think and look at what the benefits might be
Mm-hmm.
to their health when we prescribe them to training and a
Mm-hmm.
decent, healthy regime.
Right.
Um, I think we can do it for free. This is something we can do for free just by starting with the gym group Bradford and
Yes.
getting a
Yes.
couple of people involved. Not a couple, but 20, 30 people is a big ask, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
more than possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, we can put them on a free program for, like you say, 12 to 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that we're controlling their behavior as much as we can.
As much as we
Yeah, yeah,
can,
and,
right?
and just
And
kind of look at the benefits. I'm sure that there'll be some positive outcomes
of
from doing
course,
that,
of
and I'm
course.
willing to start as soon as possible. To be honest,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
a great
yeah.
idea. We
Well,
should
there you
actually put that down. That would be great. Like
go. 100%.
we do a study. We do an actual study, and we document it the whole time, and
Won't
we
cost us much. Won't
it
cost us
won't.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Google Forms,
yes,
free.
yes.
Excel, free.
Excel free. All of this is free, man. We just need the effort to do it, man. It's like
Hundred
most
percent.
things in life. If the person behind it isn't motivated, and they don't put in the work to build the house from the foundation to the roof, nothing gets done.
100%,
You
man.
know what I mean?
100%. I think we've kind of touched up on a few things here on this
Yep.
first question. Let's kind of move on to
Okay. Yes, so I
to
see
the next
here
one.
that you've got food is great for the body and the
Yeah,
mind. Where to start? And you've got protein, carbs, fats,
yeah,
fiber,
yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah. So basically, kind of again, it just ties into the first
Topic, right?
topic there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think with this one, it's just a case of looking at how people eat and how food makes them feel, how food makes them behave, or
Right,
and so forth. So in my head, I'm thinking about the science, what the science says about protein consumption so far.
right.
So for protein, we want to be eating 0.5 to 0.6, so 1.5 to
To two.
1.6
All right.
grams of protein per kilo
Per
body weight.
kilo
Yeah,
body
yeah. We
weight.
can
Yes.
look at this in pounds. I think it's 2.2 or
Right,
2.3 per
right.
pound of body weight, and that's fine. And that's kind of where people are going wrong straight away. They're not consuming enough protein. Usually, they consume quite a lot of
Carbs.
carbs
Yes.
and fats.
Yes.
Usually, there's not enough protein, not enough fiber, not enough liquids,
Yes.
and
Hundred
so it
percent.
affects
Hundred
their
percent.
body composition so much to the point where they now become, metabolically incapable of
Right.
processing a lot
Right.
of the foods that they're eating.
Or they're
Yeah,
eating so much carbs because
yeah,
like in the body, what happens is carbs get turned into sugars.
yeah. Of course, of course, of
And of
course.
course, you're eating so much sugar because of all the processed food.
Absolutely.
So you're essentially developing like the onset of diabetes.
Answer type, yeah. So they
You
call
know,
it insulin resistance.
insulin
Yeah.
resistance, exactly.
Okay,
So
metabolic disease.
right, right, right,
Okay.
right. So this is an important factor. How do you educate people about what is the right thing to eat? Because there's so many. This. I was
So many
having this
layers.
conversation with you like earlier when we were deciding to do this just yesterday, and I said like the amount of processed food that's out there is actually causing a spike in allergens.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I
people
remember this.
people are unaware of like what is healthy to eat and what is the actual composition of what they should be eating. So how do you now disseminate this into public information?
Ooh, it's difficult. One, you kind of need willing subjects. You
Right,
kind of need
right,
willing
right, right.
subjects in the first place, and then when they're willing, it makes the conversation a little bit easier. So you kind of want to perhaps start with,
Mm-hmm.
what are they eating? What are you eating? What did
Mm-hmm.
you have for breakfast? What was for lunch? What was for dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of explore this or kind of observe the information they give you a little bit more closely, and you decide, okay, cool, so they've had so amount of carbs,
Mm-hmm.
so amount of protein, so amount of fiber,
Mm-hmm.
fats, and liquids, right? And then you
Right.
kind of calculate the amounts and maybe make them understand, actually, you know what, the amount of protein here was a little bit too low, really should be
Right.
having double that.
Right.
And you obviously educate them with the basics. Okay, protein comes from eggs. It's in the
Right.
meat. It's in the fish. It's in your
Right.
nuts. It's in your legumes, and they understand that a bit more.
Yeah.
Honestly, the amount of people that just don't know this basic information is
Yeah,
startling.
yeah, it is
I
shocking. It's shocking, honestly, man.
trust me, it's startling, and it's like, wow, you didn't know that tuna had protein in it. Wow, you didn't know that beef had protein in it. Whoa. So you don't
Oh
obviously
my
don't give them
god.
that reaction.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're very professional about it, but deep down it's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
what's going
How
on
old
in
are you? Like, how old are you? Don't know this yet, bro. Man.
literally, literally.
Man, man,
So
man.
that's exactly what's happening. But then you educate
Mm-hmm.
them slowly, and eventually, surely it just becomes part of their understanding of nutrition. So
Mm-hmm.
their nutrition has gone from nothing to basics.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they become more intermediate, and that's where they really use that nutritional information to change their body composition.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, a lot of it just starts with journaling, writing down what they're
Right.
eating,
Yes.
and looking at the different macronutrients and to what amount they have those macronutrients in breakfast, in
Mm-hmm.
lunch, in dinner, and snacks and whatnot. And you start educating. You start saying, okay, look, this is really good, but we need maybe double that. So let's start with maybe some eggs for breakfast, 2 eggs for breakfast instead of a muffin and coffee, right? So two
Right.
eggs for
Right.
breakfast with a coffee and a slice of toast. Boom, we've made a big improvement from sugar,
Yeah, what's that, like
carbohydrates,
16 grams of protein right
right
there?
there, right
Each
there,
egg is 8 grams of protein.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Scramble it, a bit of butter, a bit of sea salt, if they have the time. And if there's no time, you might give them an alternative. You might say, okay, have well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do you have for breakfast?
So what I do is I'll boil 4 eggs, and then I'll eat like some protein granola with some Greek yogurt,
Nice.
and then some green tea.
No wonder
And
you're bulking up.
yeah, yeah,
No,
I'm getting there,
yeah,
right? I'm
yeah,
getting there. I'm getting
100%,
there.
100%, yeah.
But I wanted to just let you know about this interesting concept, right? Because I'm all about the processed foods thing is bad, and there's too
Are
much
you?
processed. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, we need to slow that down a bit. So this interesting theory called one step from nature, where it's like you try to eat something that's only been one step from nature. So an apple's been picked, right? That's one step from nature. The cow has been slaughtered. You have a rump steak, one step from nature. And I think then it's a lot easier to break down like how much protein is in something.
100%. I
You know what I
like that.
mean?
I
Instead
like
of
that.
being like, okay, this oatmeal, like we aren't necessarily sure, like there's raisins, we aren't necessarily sure. But if you go like try to do the one step from nature approach, then you can be like, okay, this is tuna. We know how much tuna per 100 grams is in this.
100%. Yeah.
This is bread. We know how much grams is in this. But when you're looking at like candies and your
Yeah. Yeah.
chocolates and like all the
Yeah.
pizzas,
Yeah.
there's so much processing is happening in that. So it's hard to tell what makes up your macronutrients. Whereas if you go
Absolutely.
one step from nature, you're like, okay, eggs, right? My avocado, my tuna fish, my steak, and these are all things that are easily quantifiable.
Quantifiable. 100%. I
You know
like
what I mean?
this. So the less processed the food, the better for your health and
Yes,
easier to calculate and measure over time.
you hit it nail on
Got
the
you.
head.
I,
Nail
I
on the head.
like I like this. Again, there's this sort of myth, maybe not a myth per se, maybe it's a reality actually.
Right, right,
But
right.
there's this reality for a lot of people who don't have the resources to pay for one step nature
Okay,
type
got
foods.
you, got you, got you.
There's this kind of concern that it's too expensive. It's too much money
Mm,
to get quality beef,
mm-hmm,
quality fish
mm-hmm.
that's been held uh, um, sourced. What's the word I'm looking for? The term I'm looking for is responsibly sourced, right? So
Yeah,
so that
sustainably
becomes,
sourced,
there we go. That
organic, all
becomes an
this stuff.
issue for a lot of
Yeah,
working class. Sorry to use the term, but low class, low income
understood, understood. Yeah, yeah.
households. So they might veer towards the more processed.
Right.
cheaper, mass-produced foods.
Yes, like
It's
cheese,
again
processed
cheese,
cheese, right?
bread,
Like sandwich
bread,
meats and bread.
bread,
Bread's
corned
a big
beef,
one.
corned beef.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, so
Big
corned
one.
beef, sausages,
Right.
bacon, as opposed to, like you say, quality
Tuna, beef, chicken breast, right? All the
eggs.
eggs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you solve that problem? That's actually a really interesting thing that you brought up, where it's like, yeah, this it's easy and it's cheap to feed people this way, but it's not healthy for them. So how do we now solve this problem? Because that's a big one.
So it's a massive one.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go frozen.
Mm.
We can go
Mm.
frozen. Again, frozen is processed.
Mm-hmm.
It's still processed, but it's probably 2 steps as opposed to 10 steps.
Yeah. Fair. Fair. Fair.
Yeah, probably two,
Right.
3 steps.
So like frozen meat, frozen
Frozen
veg.
meat, frozen
Right.
chicken
Right.
breasts diced, frozen
Mm.
veg, frozen fruit,
Mm-hmm.
much cheaper than the fresh counterpart,
Right.
and still holds a lot of nutrients that the body needs to function properly and to avoid going into a waiting list,
Yeah. Yeah.
10,
Yeah. In
20 years down the
NHS.
line, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And so I think that's the better solution if
Mm-hmm.
they need to kind of cut 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 costs,
Mm-hmm.
and not spend as much, but still eat
Mm-hmm.
in a way that sustains them for the week, for the month,
Mm-hmm.
and without worrying about you know um, money and so forth. That's kind of my next solution, I guess. And you could go to Iceland, you could go to
Yeah.
Poundland, and they still provide
They do. They
yeah,
do.
they
Yeah.
still provide
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they got some good stuff there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They'll
they do. Go on, you were gonna say
No,
yeah.
I'm like they do like the family pack of meats, right? They do like the family pack bacon, the
Yeah,
family
Iceland
pack
do it.
chicken breasts. You know what I mean?
Iceland do it. Iceland do it. Herons do it. It's a lot of these
Yeah.
places that my parents would have gone to growing up
Right.
to save them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to save money.
Hey, we've all
It
been
fed.
there,
Yeah,
bro.
we've all been there.
We've all been there, man. You know what I
Well,
mean?
not all of us. Some of us are high up.
That's okay, but we can
Yeah,
relate
yeah,
because
yeah.
we've been there before.
We've
But
all been
like,
there, man.
I think this is also a big thing about it, which is a part of the problem is like the meal prep time, right? People don't want to just it's like the same thing of like why do people not want to go to gym per se? They'll be like it's an extra step in my day. It requires an extra hour that I just don't have. And then when it comes to the nutrition, it's exactly the same thing. It's like I put the pizza in the oven because it was easy to do, right? It was like already ready made. I put it in the oven. It didn't take me much. It was 15, 20 minutes. So it's like the mentality is like, how do you get people to do the longer, harder thing?
The longer, harder thing.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's a really good question to get people to do the kind of long-winded process to a better outcome. I think I think it starts again with perhaps compassion, a bit of compassion. Kind of saying, okay, look, I know how you feel, man.
Mm,
Prepping is not easy.
mm,
It's really difficult. It takes time.
mm-hmm.
It takes thinking. It takes a
Yeah.
bit more money, maybe, so spending more on better ingredients and putting them together for yourself.
Right.
I think it starts with that. It starts with a conversation. Look, I
Mm-hmm.
get it, but this is how we go about cooking a chicken breast, dicing it, and adding
Mm-hmm.
veg
Mm-hmm.
and carbs to it,
Mm-hmm.
and the benefits outweigh
The
the
struggle.
effort, the
Yeah,
struggle that
and the
goes into
effort.
it
Right.
massively,
Mm-hmm.
massively. And that mindset, getting into that mindset is it's just a case of saying, look, I do it also. A lot of people in your position also did it, and look at where they are. So maybe you want to create that vision or that vision or that image in their head that if they go through that struggle
Mm-hmm.
initially, that final image or that final package, that person that they become, a year from now
Mm-hmm.
is just amazing, a super version of themselves a
Mm-hmm.
year or 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's maybe planting that seed and saying, look, I was there once. This person was there once. One of my clients was there once. This is
Mm.
how they went about it. They started with the basics, scrambled egg, boiling an egg,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
pairing it with a bit of rice, microwave rice,
Mm.
pairing it with frozen veg. Simple as that. Put it in a Tupperware. How long did that
Mm-hmm.
take you? 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's all right.
Same
Yeah.
amount of time that it might have taken you to put a pizza
In the oven,
in the
right?
oven,
And
right?
wait for it to be ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's totally true, man. That's totally true. I
yeah,
think, yeah, testimonials are very important.
of course.
Like, people need to see success and they need to see someone that's been in a position that they've been in and were able to, like, fight through it. And then I think that's very powerful. If someone can see that it's possible, you can do it. So that's huge. That's huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, again on a global,
Mm-hmm.
on a wide,
Mm-hmm.
on a wider scale, getting people to prep or normalizing prepping or normalizing
Mm-hmm.
organizing food for health. That's a different conversation for next time, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
because we have to move on to point three or
Yeah, yeah.
concept
Tell me,
three.
what is being in our 30s isn't too late for catching wealth and health.
Yes.
Eat well, socialize, networking, find ambition.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Just
love
just
this.
just some quick points I threw in there just to
Yeah,
give us some.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like this because first of all, I'm in my 30s. You're in your 30s.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people that are from our generation are like lagging behind the societal
Pressure.
pressure, like what is meant to be for us, like are we supposed to have a family at this point, are we supposed to have two kids, and like at this point, like our parents did it at
Oh,
that stage of their
100%. Yeah,
life,
yeah, yeah. They did it. They did it.
but now we're choosing a different path, and sometimes that can feel very overwhelming, because
100%.
society is always telling you you should be doing this, and you start to feel like, hey, I'm not doing enough, maybe I am making a wrong decision because I didn't marry my girlfriend 5 years
Yeah.
ago. So yeah, I think this is very important because people
Mm.
need to hear that it's not the end of the world
No,
if
it's
you're
not.
not,
It's not.
following society's plan for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what are some of these topics that you think can help 30-year-olds, 30 to 40-year-olds, like be more confident? How can they improve their lives? What can make them happy
Yeah.
outside of the traditional family model?
100%.
Yeah.
Before I add to this, though, I wanted to kind of
Mhm.
add to your point about societal pressures, right?
Right.
Um, I think it adds even more pressure when a lot of the media that we consume is from really successful, really powerful in
Mm.
like figures, right? They've got it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Their mind, they've got powerful minds. They're great at problem solving. They've got all the
Right.
money in the car. And, like we were
Yeah.
speaking about, Andrew Huberman and Joe Rogan.
Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan,
These are
Lex
big
Friedman.
figures, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's almost like we're kind of looking up to them and expecting that we almost compare ourselves to them and weighing our value,
Mm.
you know,
That's a huge.
against theirs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, and
Yeah.
it won't be long before before long we're 40 and 50, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how quickly can we build success and build resources
Mm-hmm.
on the level that they did?
Mm-hmm.
Because we that's all we consume. Young men like us.
That's
We
so
just
true.
yeah.
That's
I
like
mean, so
such a
it's
good point.
it's almost like should we block those sorts of figures?
Mm.
Maybe forget about the information they give out, as useful as it is, and focus on the here and now and who we are without external influences that are so much bigger
Right.
than we are.
I think that's an excellent
Yeah,
point. Okay. And what I would say is you need a little bit of both.
of
Okay.
course you do.
Because you need that north star, as they say, to kind of point you to, like, I don't know, the ultimate, most efficient way to do things. The person
Absolutely.
that's the use case or the case study that's like the most successful, because you need to have something to follow to be like, this is
Absolutely.
ideal life. But this comes back to your point of, like, should we focus on the here and now? I think yes. I think it's very important to first of all practice gratitude. To be like, hey, I don't have problems, trying to pay my rent right now.
Mm,
That's a huge thing, especially in today's society where you're not homeless, where you're not facing possible eviction. So focus on the here and now, be grateful. And then I think it comes down to people like me and you who are not the Joe Rogans, who
mm,
are not the Andrew Hubermans. Yes, going on social media and sharing our lives,
yeah.
if this is if this is the path we're choosing, then
Mm,
more and more people like you and me should go out there and share our lives so that people can see that normal
hundred
people
percent,
do this.
hundred
You know what I
percent.
mean?
Let me touch on something else then.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's say we are consumers of knowledge.
Right.
We like facts. We like science. We like the truth. We're both trying to get as close to the truth as possible. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So based on that fact, then,
Mm-hmm.
with everything that we know so far,
Right.
I get a sense that with everything we know so far,
Mm-hmm.
we could build an empire with our current knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So what's stopping us with absorbing information from the best minds in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jordan Peterson and the likes, right?
Right.
Neuroscientists and
Yes.
business gurus, right? We've absorbed the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we are in the UK. We are in a fortunate
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
We,
There's
we,
opportunity.
there's opportunities, right?
Right.
So it's almost like with what we know now, and if we kind of broke down a plan, business plan, a strategy,
Mm-hmm.
I get a sense, I feel it deep down, that the world is endless with what we know.
Yeah.
You've got a degree, I've got a degree. You work, I work. right? We're both into fitness.
Yeah.
We're both very self-aware. I get a sense that with what we know, honestly, opportunities are endless,
Yeah, they are. They really
endless,
are. They really are.
endless. Like we could literally stop today and never again need to look at the best minds in the world with
Mm.
just what we know and influence, a big community, influence lots of people across the UK, across the world, if we really wanted to. I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's I'm
I mean, I'm
yeah,
loving this.
yeah,
I'm
you know what I
loving
mean?
this. I'm loving this because I
That's
feel it
yeah,
too. I feel it too. Yeah,
yeah,
I do. I do
yeah.
really think that we're capable and we're gifted individuals. So I'm gonna say this. It's a product of our times. Okay,
Of course it is, yeah.
and I'm just gonna put this out there once and for all, which is that we're facing tough economic times within our lifetime.
Of course, yeah.
So opportunities are there, but we don't want to make excuses. So the next part of it is that it's easier to accomplish a goal when you work with someone. If you know, like, this is the goal we're going to do, we're going to start a business, we're going to make it. That's a lot easier than being a solo person and trying to make it. So we've just found each other now. Okay, if we put something together and we work tirelessly at it, consistently at it for 2 years, who knows what we could create and make.
100%.
Because sometimes you do need that person to be like, if you're having a bad day, be like, listen, we have this vision, we're going to do this. Remember when we sat down that day and you were like, this is what we're going to do, we're meant to do this.
Yeah.
You need a hype man, essentially, and you can't be your own hype man all the time. It's just unfeasible. So to be cheesy, teamwork makes the dream work.
Of course, yeah.
So you got to find the right people, resonate with them, build this empire, slowly. I mean, for you to do it by yourself, of course people can do it by themselves, but I think no man is an island.
Yeah.
And it comes down to finding the right people to make something happen with.
100%. I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
Right, I think it's about time to be on to the next one then.
All right.
Yeah,
cool,
next
cool,
one.
Cool. So,
although we've not really.
Oh, that's okay.
I think we can explore this another time.
We can explore this another time. Yeah, it's so broad.
Well, this is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how we go about this one. So, speaking to subjectively or objectively attractive people is a robust confidence booster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Agreed. I mean, I believe so. So,
yeah.
Tell me, why you think this is, and tell me why people don't do it.
I don't know if I thought about this one too much, Tiro, but okay. I guess it's probably, again, it's always down to mindset, what's in your head,
right?
The psychology of being, how you look at people, how you internalize, externalize. I would say people don't do it because they have a very poor internal image of themselves and a really high external image of people
everyone
they find
else
attractive, right?
Yes.
So that's a problem straight away. And I think in an ideal world, what you want to do is you want to kind of level that those pictures. So if you feel like you're really low, bring yourself up, hype yourself up, be your own hype man.
Yeah.
There we go. You have to be.
You have to.
Yeah, be your own hype man.
Yeah.
Right. Wake up in the morning and just tell yourself, I am going to be the best version of Emmanuel today. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to dress nicely, look after myself, make sure I'm well kept, nice hair, nice teeth, bit of perfume on, and give a couple of compliments.
Right.
That's the basics. Kind of, towards, I've done it a couple of times, so on my way to work, right, I'm in a good mood. I've got my music on, my headphones, and I'm walking to the beat. Boom. I feel good. I feel smooth. Young lady wearing a nice dress. Oh, that dress looks really nice on you today. That's it. She smiles. She feels good. That's all that was. And that kind of makes you feel good. She reacted in a positive way, and that emboldens your internal image a little bit. You had the power to that. You use your words, your powerful words, to make someone feel good about themselves, and that internally makes me feel good. So straight away, I've elevated my internal image.
Yeah,
because by making someone feel good, I used my power to make them feel good. So I'm in power. They're not really in power in that moment because they received something from me, right? I gave them something, and they reacted to it. So I controlled that situation.
Right. Okay, so this is very important. Yeah. I would say that for those people that feel like you're not, let's say, in the top 10% of attractiveness or whatever, I would say an important thing to do is, if you feel like you're having trouble talking to people, either do a sales job for like 3 months or
100%.
learn about sales techniques, because when you're doing a sales job, you will have to talk to people. Okay, it doesn't matter how you're feeling. You need to make money, exactly. you need to make money. It comes down to that pure capitalistic drive of I need to pay my bills. And so you're going to talk to people, and most of the time in sales, when you're talking to people, you're going to face a lot of rejection. And
100%.
and the
Yeah.
good thing about facing rejection is you start to understand it's not personal. You know what I mean? Sometimes someone has a busy day. Sometimes they're not having the best day, so they're not going to react positively to your approach. And when I was doing sales, we did this. The person that was training us told us about this analogy, which is basically called finding the aces, which is like in a deck of cards, there's four aces, but you don't know where those aces are. So you've just got to keep trying until you hit an ace. And that's the nature of sales. So essentially, it is don't be so afraid. Keep trying, right? If you have a fear of rejection, just learn to get over that. Don't take it so personally. You know what I mean? And then if you can do that, once you find that ace, it makes everything worth it.
Nice. That's a
Yeah.
really nice story.
Mm,
It's again, it's the whole idea of repetition is key, right? Just
definitely.
repeat the same
Definitely.
task, the same exercise until you get that reward eventually. So
Yeah.
it's not always going to go your way, but because you've become so skilled
Hmm.
and efficient at perhaps doing that job, or using your maybe a speech, a sales script of some
Exactly.
sort.
The
Yeah, yeah,
pitch.
the pitch
Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
becomes something that's like back pocket.
Yes.
Again, it's ingrained in you. You know it word for word now, and you can kind of change your enunciation. You can
Right.
pronounce a word with a bit more of
Yes.
a punchline, and
Right.
you're having
Right.
a nice the person receiving that pitch is responding a bit better to you eventually. But
Exactly.
it comes with a lot of, like you say, barriers and
Yes.
mistakes, stutters,
Yeah. Yeah.
mumble,
Yeah.
because you don't have that comfort, you don't have that muscle
Hmm.
in delivering that pitch,
Yeah,
as you
and
say.
it's
So
it's it's like it's exactly like you said, right? You have a pitch at first, you have to memorize it. Once you have that down, that's only like 30%, because
30% of the
then the
way there, yeah.
other 70% is now learning body language,
Body
right?
language.
Facial expressions. How do people react to what you're
So
saying?
you're saying that a sales job, door to door, maybe in person, is better than like a
Yeah, it's yes,
yeah, better than a
because oh, much
phone
better.
sales job. Got you.
Much better because you can read body language, right? Like over the phone, you lose body language, which is like 70% of communication. You know what I mean? So you're only focusing on the tone of your voice now. You're only focusing on the words you're saying.
100%. Yeah.
But in-person sales jobs, like you could just even read up about sales techniques, to practice how to talk to attractive people, because you'll learn the tricks about everything. You'll learn about human psychology, right? Like what do people find, what makes them impulse, to do things, so you'll learn about impulse words. You'll learn about body language. You'll learn about emotion and tone. You'll learn about all these amazing things. And I think this is paramount to talking to anyone, let
Absolutely.
alone attractive people. You know
There you
what I mean?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So again, that's kind of the art of seduction, right?
it
Yeah, the
is.
art of
It
seduction.
is.
Obviously there's different language for it. Some people say it's manipulation.
Please, please.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Okay, let's not go there.
Man
All
needs to
right.
manipulate, Man needs to
Oh,
manipulate.
yeah, we do. We
Yeah,
do.
we
Yeah,
do.
we
We
do.
do.
Yeah, we have to. But of course, it's subjective.
Right.
It's always subjective. But yes, I like your tone there with how to help people that
Mm-hmm.
perhaps don't fit in that 110% of
Right.
attractiveness or resourcefulness, blah 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 blah. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's good that you kind of give advice to people that don't feel like they have it all together,
Right.
and it's nice. I think it's reassuring that there is a way. There's always a way to to boost your confidence, to become a better version of yourself outside of just health and nutrition. Your
Yeah.
mindset, how
Of
you
course.
interact with people. Your sociology, how many friends you have, how you influence people, and your friendship group. I think it all benefits health in a really positive
Oh
way.
yeah,
If you feel
definitely.
confident and you have resources outside of materialism, people
Mm.
people can be resources.
Of
Girls can be
course. Of
resources.
course.
It's
Of
part of
course. Of
life.
course. Yeah.
You need them to this. You need people. You need friendships because those friendships provide benefits that perhaps money don't really give you, or
Mm.
food don't really give you. Right? It's
Mm.
part of our human being to have all these different what could you say, different variables that make us whole. You know
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah, there you go. So that's kind
Agreed.
of
Mm-hmm.
how I'm going about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, otherwise, I think let's maybe end it there. Otherwise, we'll just ramble on.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%.
Ramble, ramble,
So
ramble.
number 5 here, gaming or play is also for adults, and
Gaming or play, yeah.
yes.
Gaming or play is
So
also
just
for
to
adults.
just to let's make this more clear for our
Yeah.
audience. What do you mean by gaming or play here?
Gaming or play. So,
Mm-hmm.
gaming or play. So I think things that are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are fun. So for a lot of men, boys,
Right.
gaming might be perhaps a console.
Mm.
Okay, so gaming on a PC, a really high tech PC, playing your favorite game, whether it be Call of Duty or
FIFA.
yeah, Warhammer or
Right.
FIFA. Like you
Grand
say,
Theft
FIFA, Grand Theft.
Auto.
Yeah, there you go. That's kind of gaming in a nutshell. But maybe to extend a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
gaming would just be something that is fun, that kind of lets you loose a little bit. It could
Mm-hmm.
be again, like just going back to being a boy, little boy.
Right.
Hide and seek, a game of tag.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe playing a bit of football.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Squash. I call it all gaming, but it's something that's fun, that's akin to gaming on your PlayStation or Xbox, Xbox One, whatever. Just
Mm-hmm.
gaming, having a playful nature about you, going back to your childhood self, and doing something that was just bliss and carefree, and it always makes you feel, I don't know. I'm
Young
trying to say
again.
just young again. There you
It
go,
does. It
young
does.
again.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
we don't have that as adults. It's something that's lacking amongst
Yeah,
all the work that we have to do, the 9 to 5, and the
yeah.
making money and the responsibilities of
Mm-hmm.
rent and work. I don't know, car, utility, all of that stuff. Right? It's just so much pressure, and eventually all that bubbles up, and it becomes too much.
Mm.
So before it becomes too much, maybe there should be play. There should be gaming, just
Bring
to
everything down, kind of de-stress, let go of all the emotions,
yeah.
find a safe place to let it all out,
Yeah,
essentially.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say. Obviously, there's other ways of bringing it all down. Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really what I mean by gaming or playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's too difficult to describe because we're adults.
I mean, I would say it's kind of like, first of all, the brain, how it works,
Mm.
neural pathways that are developed over time from children to adulthood. And there's some brain, conditions that affect memory, for instance, like Alzheimer's and dementia. And so, actually, when you're growing up, the more that you can carry with you from when you were a child into adulthood, the better it is for your brain. Essentially, you can offset these negative effects from dementia and Alzheimer's. So when you tell me gaming or play, I think of like, yes, playing football with my friends, and now every time I play football, now I'm still engaging those places in my
Neural
brain.
pathways. Yeah.
Yes, I'm still engaging them and keeping them healthy, and also it's allowing me to have fun, to not take the complexity out of life, right, and just focus on this game right here. Because sometimes as humans, we're overthinking everything. We get anxious. We're like, what does that person think of me? Oh, did I mess up in work today? Oh, did I do something that was embarrassing? But when you're playing a game, you're focused.
And your focus.
It has a set amount of outcomes.
Yeah.
You're hopefully playing with people that you enjoy
Mm.
hanging around, or that you enjoy being with. So I think it's, yeah,
Yeah.
focus on the
I
positives.
like that. And also in gaming and play, you
Hmm.
are allowed to embarrass yourself. You
Exactly.
are allowed to make mistakes. It's mistakes. There's a fine line, when it comes to mistakes at work or in
Hmm.
real life situations, right?
Definitely.
You can make mistakes. You can make errors in game or play.
Hmm.
So I think that's maybe something that humans need to escape the reality and the complexity of life, like you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
Just
totally agree.
just gaming, playing, and doing all the things you wished you could do freely in the real
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe it like you say, it could open up new neural pathways in your brain.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is a place for exploration. 100%.
yeah.
As the brain grows and expands, more gaming should be involved
Hmm.
to again reinforce or strengthen our neural pathways, as you mentioned it. So,
Hmm.
but what sort of gaming? Again,
Hmm.
that's a different topic. What
Yeah,
sort of gaming?
yeah, yeah. There's lots of things you can do, man. You
Is
could do.
it, are there benefits to 30-year-olds like ourselves to sit
Hmm.
down, on an Xbox and play a bit of FIFA? Is there a benefit to
Yeah,
that? Do you think?
I think there is a
Yeah,
benefit to that. First of all, it's like camaraderie.
yeah,
Okay, you're spending time with someone. You're focusing. Okay, first of all, conversation has no doubt become much harder.
Yeah.
for 30-year-olds. Just the amount of distraction in our lives, the amount of everything that's going on. It's very hard to maintain things. You can just think of like when you're trying to have a family dinner and everyone's like on their phone. Okay. But gaming gives you something that you can all focus on together. It's like watching a movie, but now you're interacting with the movie. So
Mm,
essentially, it's something that you share as an experience that keeps everyone focused on the same thing. So I think it is very important for 30-year-olds because it actually allows you to strengthen relationships without necessarily having to talk all the time. You know what I mean?
mm.
Which is super important. You know what
That's
I mean?
really nice. Strengthening relationship without having to talk all the time. Got you.
Yeah,
So I like the whole strengthening relationships.
yeah.
It's really important to kind of keep those relationships going into our 40s and 50s
Oh,
as life becomes progressively
definitely, man.
harder.
Yeah,
Oof. Right. So
yeah.
gaming is good.
Gaming is
Yeah,
good.
gaming is good.
I'm for gaming. I
You're for
say
gaming.
game away, people, please. Call up your friends, fire up your PlayStation, or get some poker going. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there you go.
It's
And
good for
it's
you.
fine to have a bit of pizza, and whilst you're gaming. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem.
Okay, this is quite a heavy topic.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you preface this, but this is quite heavy, so I'm gonna have some time to think about it. But go for it.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
All right. So topic 6, guys. So preparing for children.
Right.
So preparing for children will make us better parents. Or looking at parenting mindset or similar mindset can make us more responsible adults.
Right.
So preparing for children or looking at how to be responsible as an adult.
Right.
So looking at that mindset
Mm-hmm.
can make us better adults or can help us progress through life in a more positive, responsible manner.
Right.
What do I mean by this?
Yes.
Oh, so I think I was trying to think about myself as a man, as an adult, as a potential father one day,
Mm-hmm.
and how to be a good father, how to be a good parent. It's difficult. It's really difficult. We spoke about this in the past, about 2-3 months ago. We spoke about our experiences growing up,
Right.
the parenting styles that we had to endure,
Mm-hmm.
our environment, resources, and all that. Right. So I'm just thinking about how we can maybe use the information available to us
Mm-hmm.
to make us one better adults and potentially better parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just starts with observing our parents, really looking at where we came from,
Yeah.
because a lot of that is lacking. Society is chaotic right now. It's very easy to tell who's good, who's bad,
Mm-hmm.
and so within all that, we need to find positivity and kindness and goodness. So we need to look at our parents, look at some of the things that they did wrong, right? And a lot of it comes down to, of course, resources,
Mm-hmm.
money, uh, their own parenting styles that they got from their parents, right? And
Right.
I think I think that's kind of a pressing issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I spend a lot of time just looking at how I can use resources available to again strengthen my mindset so I can be as good of a person as possible,
Mm-hmm.
which will obviously make me a better parent or a better father long term. That's
Right.
kind of my position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my position. What are your thoughts on that? Just
Okay, so I did like how you were like, we need to look historically.
yeah.
And of course, the best litmus test we have is our parents.
Mm.
And I think it's easy because, of course, we're both here right now, so they did a good job, right?
Of course it did, yeah.
And we're motivated enough to do things, and we're ambitious, and we respect ourselves to a certain extent. So they did something right.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it was very important what you said, where it's like, what did they do wrong?
Mm.
Because no parent is actually perfect. You know what I mean?
They can't
No
be.
human being is perfect.
100%.
So for you to look at your parents and be like, okay, where do I feel like they were lacking in terms of what they did for me? I think that's good. And I think every person should actually do this thought experiment,
Yeah.
which is like, look at your parents, whatever was the shortcomings, you write it down.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to work on this with my child. And so you have it written down so you know what you have to work on with your child. Okay.
Mm.
And then the second thing is here, you do have something about like, how do you recognize good parenting from bad
Yeah.
parenting? I would say this is where practice comes in. And I don't necessarily mean go and have this first child, second child, third child. I mean practice, take care of something, take care of a
something.
garden, take care of a plant, take care of your friend's child. You know what I mean? see what it's like to have a baby for one day.
Oh boy, I've experienced this
Yeah.
with my 5-year-old niece. Oh boy, Tira, if I tell you that it's a full-time job,
Of course
and
it is, right?
I understand that the responsibility of a young woman, women out there, and men, of course, and fathers, mothers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's a difficult task.
It is.
I had to be engaged in conversation 24/7. Well, not literally, but I had to be engaged in conversation with
Yes.
this baby girl, and her mind is sharp. Her mind operates maybe 3-4 times faster than mine. You know,
Wow.
always got questions, inquisitive.
Yeah.
Everything is a mystery. Everything is something to be inquisitive about. You know,
Right.
in
Right.
this
Right.
4-5 year old,
Beautiful.
and that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, oof,
Mm-hmm.
how do I create the internal peace, the internal mindset to be patient enough for all this, to be ready, to have the mental space and capacity
Right.
to do this job full time as well as a full time job and look after this little human being full time.
It's a
How
big ask.
it's a
Yeah,
big
for
ask. So
sure.
when we look at where our parents went wrong,
Mm-hmm.
is it was it just a case of overwhelm? It's too much,
Mm-hmm.
not enough resources. They didn't have the capacity or capability at the time to look after myself.
Mm-hmm.
My little sister and the younger sister. It could be all these things to the point where when you've got so much at hand,
Mm-hmm.
so much pressure, so much responsibility, maybe something has to be let go. Something has to go. It's almost like parenting or giving the best experience for your children becomes last resort sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
because priority might be working really hard, working those extra hours, or putting food on the table so you're working longer, or making sure that food is ready. So a second might in a short second, mum, dad might just be absent or neglect you a little bit because they've got something else to do. There's this pressing issue. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just a case that parents can't be present in that child's life all the time, and it's something that can be that can get worse, or
Yeah.
can be improved over time. I'm not too sure, but it's almost like where my parents went wrong was again just attention
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps nurturing in a way that would make me um, perhaps more confident, maybe more expressive of my mind, my feelings, my thoughts.
Right.
I feel that parents were very my parents personally, and I guess this goes for a lot of people. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
my parents were maybe what am I trying to say? It's almost like they didn't want to let me blossom in
Mm-hmm.
that psychological way, in that mental way, in the way I was as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like their pressing issue was again money and resources, because that was a difficulty in their life.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have the time or capacity or patience to focus on me and my little sisters in the way that would have maybe made us more wholesome, if you could call it that. I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at. I
No, I
think
do
that's yeah.
understand. I do understand. Actually, what you're saying is resonating with me because I just read a book about this. Okay, and one section was like, okay, how do people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds compare to people with higher socioeconomic backgrounds in regards to parenting? Okay, and the main thing is people from higher socioeconomic backgrounds, so rich people, they're actually the same as your parents. Okay, in a sense, like they have a certain limited amount of time they can spend with their kids,
Mm,
but what they can afford is for like ways or people to occupy their children when they're not there.
mm.
So they can have a nanny, right? They can have after school activities which they pay for. So could it be tennis club? Could it be like a football academy? Could it be like just going to another friend's place because they have the means to do that,
What was the
right?
book that you read?
It's called Behave by Robert.
Behave.
Yeah, by Robert Sapolsky. It's basically everything
I know that name.
neuroscience. Yeah, yeah. He's a Andrew Huberman's a big fan. He calls him like the great grandfather of neuroscience. But
Mm.
yeah, essentially, it's just because these rich people can invest in their child spending more time in constructive ways, Like they can go to sports, they can go to activities, they have a nanny. So they may not be around all the time, but they invest in filling up their child's time with things,
100%. And
you
of
know?
course, this is because you brought up brought up a point earlier about neural pathways,
Yeah.
and so if a child is spending time doing constructive activities, it definitely builds them up to become maybe more proactive, perhaps more efficient
Yeah.
teenagers, adults, etc., etc. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, of course, becomes a domino effect
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
those generations, right? Better
100%.
upbringing, more resources. You
100%.
grow up to become an adult, and you pass on again
Yeah.
that information to your children, and the same again. You provide your children the same lifestyle, and
100%.
it just becomes this.
But there's also
This,
generational
yeah,
factors, bro. Because like we're from the same generation. So I mean, the things that you were talking about, I was also like relating to, because I was like, hey, like I wish my dad spent more time with me.
yeah, daddy, of course.
And I think it's just because they come from a time where they were like, I don't know how to express my emotions. Especially to my children who are vulnerable and they see me as the strong image. Like I almost can't tell them when I'm scared, or
100%.
I can't tell my son that it's okay to cry, or how to talk to girls, because I just have to be the stoic figure. And it's a wrong way of thinking about
It's
it.
a wrong way. It's yeah. It was.
And I hope that that's an ancient thing that we've worked on by now, that we can be like, as men, we can be open with our son or our daughter. Like you have a niece now, that you can't be Mr. Tough Guy all the time.
No way. Oh, we laugh
You know
all
what
the
I mean?
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you recently with my
Yeah.
niece. Okay, so this was about a month or two ago, right?
Yeah,
So I just thought, all right, it's Saturday. I'm not working. Let's make this my niece feel good. Let's give her a good time. So I just go to the park. We played Let's Befriend the Superheroes.
Oh, sick.
Well, I don't know how I came up with that idea, but that was me.
That's the mind working on her level, bro. 100% now.
There you go. Let's find a superhero. Let's play with imaginary beings in the park and send hands.
Yeah.
And that was fun for 30 minutes to an hour. And I enjoyed it. I played.
Yes. You played. You did point number 5 on
Yeah, I played.
Yeah.
I didn't need a PlayStation 5.
Yes.
I just played with my niece because I brought myself down to that level. Not to say that level is bad or inefficient. I just remembered what it was like to play. And me, a responsible adult, 31 years old,
Yeah.
I played like a little boy.
Beautiful. I'm so freaking happy to hear that.
Oh,
because
100%.
we need to hear this
Yeah.
more. We need to hear that it's okay to be a little bit like foolish and a little bit childish.
Yeah.
Nothing's always so serious.
Yeah, why wait to have a child and experience that feeling of playing or gaming? Why wait to have a baby boy or girl and wait for them to grow up to be 10 years old? I can do it now.
You can do it now, right?
So when you brought that earlier point, when you said, how do we prepare for children? Well, it comes with looking after the child, looking after something.
Yes.
Well, for an hour, I looked after my niece, and I played. I had fun.
And it gave you insight. It was like, hey, listen, she likes to do this. You know what I mean? This is something that I'm going to commit to because she likes, and it's a lesson you learn. Yeah. So it's like, okay, when I have a kid, I'm going to have to find ways to entertain them, and I'm going to come down to their level. You know what I mean? And I think also something really interesting that someone I knew used to do was like, they would go to the animal shelter, and they would just spend time with neglected animals. And just for that hour of doing that, then you're like, okay, this is what it means to care for something. If you go to an orphanage and you spend time with kids there that don't have parents, and you're like, okay, this is what it means to actually take care of someone, to look after someone. It's a huge thing. And I think it's important. Like, I think if you're thinking about how can I be a better parent, but you don't want to take the full plunge and get someone pregnant and have a kid and go through it all, practice with little minimal responsibility.
I like that. I really like that. I think that's given me quite a bit of insight. Thanks, Tara. Thank you.
No worries, man. Yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Okay. Everyone, guys, this was the first episode, and if you like, of course, just let us know, and we will try to bring you more. So enjoy.
Until next time.
Peace.